had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also, they're a literal vampire. And suddenly my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it is Adam here, and you're about to listen to a weight loss hypnosis session with a difference. And that's because this particular hypnosis session takes a principle from Japanese culture to help lose weight. And I was working with a client that was slightly older, in great shape for their age, looked much, much younger, but they felt that they had put on about a stone. And that's an English terminology that means about 6 or 7 kilos or around about 15 pounds. And she wanted to lose that. But when she had successfully lost weight in the past, it wasn't through dieting and it wasn't by calorie counting and thinking about food. It was feeling comfortable leaving food on their plate and not really wanting to eat too much. And there is a Japanese concept called Hara Hachi Bu, or sometimes it's pronounced Hara Hachi Bun Me. What it really means is to not continue eating while you're full. So it has this idea that you finish when you're 80% full, so that that lag time of eating for your brain to recognize that you've had enough can catch up. And you can translate that into a hypnotic suggestion of finish eating while you're still hungry, and to take pride in leaving food on your plate. So that's one Japanese concept. Basically, don't eat more than you need to is really the concept. It's a very powerful concept. So the hypnosis session takes this idea of Japanese culture and seeing the slim physicality of the people of Japan by following this concept. But the Japanese also have another concept, and I can't remember the actual Japanese term, but I think it's actually in the hypnosis session, but it's loosely translated as lonely mouth. And in the West, we would call that emotional eating. We would call that eating from boredom, eating from gratification, eating because you just feel like it, eating for gratification. So it has that concept in there as well. So if you've struggled following diets, and if you've done ridiculous things to try and lose weight and you gain it again, I think you might get some value from this particular session, because at its core, it is a very simple philosophy that takes this idea of eating only what your body needs, and to actually take pride in feeling actual hunger, not mouth hunger, but this element of actual hunger that your body really needs, nutrition and energy, and then stopping eating while you're still feeling hungry. And if you can cultivate that habit, you're never going to gain weight, and you're going to lose weight to the required level for you and be able to maintain that. Now, this session was created for an individual. Some of the suggestions are very, very tailored to the client that I was working with, based on their past and times that they successfully made great choices and certain things that resonated with them. That might not be your situation, but at its core, it's about losing weight through really sensible choices. So if you do like the idea of a bespoke session created and cultivated exactly for you, there will be a link in the description where you can schedule a completely free consultation call. We'll have a chat over Zoom, and who knows, we might end up working together directly. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to completely relax, and with your eyes closed, you start to become aware, even more so, of the sound of my voice. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Each breath allows you to drift even deeper relaxed now. That's it. Scan your body for any clues of worry, stress, or tension, but mainly any pressure of what you should be doing, what you should look like. And every time from this point forward, you hear the word should, your brain will naturally evolve it to the word could. What could you look like? What could you eat? Notice how should is connected to feelings of judgment, coercion, and shame. And could is linked to feelings of possibility, empowerment, and choice. I want you to imagine breathing in the essence of possibility, and as you exhale, release all of those echoes of judgment. Quite often they're just other people's rules that come from their own insecurities. As you release those shoulds and breathe in those coulds, allow your body to drift deeper and deeper relaxed. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension. And I want you to imagine a bookshelf. And on that bookshelf is a book of ancient Egypt. I want you to imagine finding a comfy chair and looking through pictures of the ancient pyramids, hieroglyphics, tombs deep inside a pyramid. And as you read those pages and look at those images, I want you to do what naturally happens when you're lost in thought with a good book. Isn't it true that your mind goes on a wonderful adventure? And as you imagine the pages turning without you realizing, I wonder if you could imagine drifting all the way back to ancient Egypt. Imagine yourself in an ancient temple, staring at a wall of hieroglyphics. I want you to get a sense of the hieroglyphics represent wisdom, just as your past contains wisdom, and the world contains wisdom. As you stare into the hieroglyphics, I want you to imagine drifting off to a dream within a dream. Imagine drifting off to ancient Japan. I want you to see villages, temples, the traditional robes and dress wear, perhaps of ordinary people, perhaps from hundreds of years ago there in Japan. And I want you to notice just how slim, toned, and healthy everyone looks. Almost like you're stepping back in time. And I want you to recall that at this point in history, there was no supermarket with processed foods. Back then, it was natural to have 2 or 3 meals a day, full of nutrients. And I want you to get a sense that the Japanese would have cultural beliefs and rules that subtly shifted them to feel that it was effortless to make good choices with what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat. And I want you to imagine there in Japan, finding a temple, and I want you to imagine what it would be like to hold a yoga pose, the kind of yoga pose that is not strenuous, kind of pose that you could stay in for a while, in deep, deep relaxation. And when you could imagine being in that temple, holding that posture, drifting deep within your imagination, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to notice how you're breathing in and breathing out, your body settling, feeling that rhythm, that pace. With each outward breath, you can let go of any unnecessary effort, believing that the body already knows how to regulate itself, allowing it to return to what is natural. And as you continue to breathe comfortably, I'd like you to imagine your mind becoming curious. Curious in that gentle, observational way. Because somewhere in your past, there was a time when eating felt simple, effortless. A time when your body naturally found its slim, healthy rhythm. And you don't need to try to remember it. Just allow your unconscious mind to guide you back to that version of you. And when you drift back to that moment, whether it's observing yourself like you're someone else or back in that version of you, that time, let me know by nodding your head. Perhaps you notice where you were, what your body felt like, how hunger and fullness were easy signals rather than problems to solve. So really connect into that memory now, and you may begin to notice something that your body preferred less, not through force, rules, or coercion. It just preferred it that way. And maybe you can remember how smaller portions felt more satisfying. how food was enjoyed more when it was eaten slowly. How the flavors, the sensation, the taste increased rather than decreased. And maybe there's truth there, that the smaller the portion, the more present you were. That when there was less, the more aware you became. The more pleasure you extracted from each bite, every time you chewed. Because the pleasure for food is not in your stomach or your belly. It's on your taste buds. I want you to come to a conclusion that if you eat half as much, but allow it to spend twice the time in your mouth before you swallow, it means you get twice the pleasure for half the amount, which means you can lose weight and enjoy the experience even more. And your nervous system remembers this, how each bite was chosen, each mouthful was appreciated, and satisfaction arrived before discomfort ever could. Your body learned that less is more. And that knowledge, that wisdom, that insight is still stored safely within you. And now allow a new understanding to settle, to take root. How your stomach does not need to be stretched to feel satisfied. It simply needs time. The ancient Japanese knew that it takes about 20 minutes for signals to rise naturally from body to brain, calmly, clearly. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like that you naturally begin to stop eating, not when you're full, but when you're 80% full, when it's still comfortable, light, when you're still energized, maybe even still feeling a little hungry. Not stuffed, not heavy, just complete. And what if there's a quiet pride that comes with this? A sense of intelligence, an act of self-love, of self-respect. And I want you to imagine eating that way and notice how good it feels to leave food on your plate. Not as deprivation and not as waste, but as proof that you listened. And those ancient Japanese beyond the walls of the temple would call that Hara Hachi Bu. And you don't need to remember the words to remember the concept. To finish while still feeling hungry. To imagine your stomach 80% full before stopping. And if that was their intention, they were vigilant against the opposite. The Japanese knew of something that they called kuchi sabishi. In English, we would know it as lonely mouth eating. And I want you to get a sense of what that could mean. I want you to recall times that you were snacking when you weren't hungry. And maybe you were bored. Maybe it was just out of habit. But there was no actual need to eat in that moment. So now, allow your mind to become aware of the difference between true hunger that comes from the body and that fake hunger that comes from the mouth. Sometimes they're hidden like Trojan horses in habits that once masqueraded as hunger, in boredom and routine. But once you start thinking of it as lonely mouth eating, you begin to feel strangely immune. Because when your body isn't hungry, food simply doesn't call to you in the same way. Instead, you notice choice returning. Because if your mouth wants stimulation, you might stretch, move, breathe, step outside, or redirect that energy into something purposeful. And I don't know if this has already happened, happening, or about to happen. But before you know it, you may discover that eating only happens when hunger is real. And when it does, it is clean, nourishing, and satisfying. Feel that you are activating a natural attraction to high nutrition foods. The ancient Egyptians didn't have supermarkets and processed food, and neither did the ancient Japanese. They had real food made from real ingredients. And what if your body is starting to ask for foods like that? Fresh vegetables, fruits, salads, clean, vibrant nutrition. And not because you should, but more because they feel good while you're eating them, and more importantly, after you eat them. Because you know there's some foods that can feel good when you eat them, but they make you feel regret, shame, or guilt after. But can you recall one time when you had a salad and you regretted it after? I want you to get a sense that real nutrition rewards you twice. While you're eating, and then the feeling of feeling good after. That time when your energy improves, your digestion feels calm, like your body is rewarding you immediately. The body is an artist of adaptation. And the more of these high nutrition foods you eat, the more your taste adapts, finding pleasure in freshness, in color, in vitality. Before we leave this temple in your imagination, I'd like you to imagine a moment in the near future. A time when, whether it's in a shop window or a full-length mirror, you just catch your reflection and something registers instantly. You look slimmer, lighter. You're smiling, more aligned. Or maybe you're hearing compliments. Perhaps from people you know, perhaps from strangers. And this time, rather than your instant reaction to reject them, you believe them, you accept them, not with surprise, but with recognition. Almost like the outside world is matching how you feel inside. What if movement feels energizing now? Yoga, walking, gentle activity that feels good rather than forced. You want to do this. You don't have to do this. Because your body wants to move, because it enjoys itself again. And I want you to get a feeling that structure doesn't confine you, it supports you. That lists feel satisfying, planning feels grounding, and ticking things off releases a sense of completion. You get your dopamine from doing things that improve your life, rather than things that just give you temporary gratification. And each small action reinforces momentum. Each completed task builds self-trust. And more you're feeling that you are someone who follows through, calmly, consistently. I want you to imagine yourself even further in the future. Maybe months, maybe a year from now. Observe yourself slim, healthy, and confident. And notice the way you walk. Notice how there's a spring in your step, a lightness that wasn't there before, where life feels more open, more playful, more alive. And this isn't through effort, this is through alignment. That your body remembers how to be slim, and your mind remembers how to eat naturally. And from this point forward, it's that memory that will guide you automatically. And as you continue your day, these changes integrate quietly, effortlessly. They're in the background. Because this is not something you are doing. This is something you are returning to. I want you to imagine as you leave that Japanese temple, seeing someone your age, slim, vibrant, healthy, knowing that they eat up to that 80% feeling full and stop while they're still hungry. Imagine floating back to ancient Egypt and looking into those hieroglyphics and seeing an image there in the hieroglyphics. A confident, elegant woman. See yourself in the hieroglyphics and know there is ancient wisdom within you. And then float back almost like through the pages of a book and imagine seeing the same hieroglyphics there on a page of a history book. Close the book, return it to the shelf, and allow yourself to float back to the here and the now. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. And you will awaken feeling resourceful, vibrant, with a new lease of life. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.